Well, now we're back. This is Albert Torcaso, and this is how to be a talk show host. I was here a few minutes ago, had to kind of stop because of a few reasons. At any rate, I've been a talk show host for 13 years now, and I thought it would be kind of nice to let you know how you could be one. Now, let me start off by telling you that you're usually going to want to have a specialized area for your talk show. Maybe, a field or genre. Like, for example, a lot of people will pick being an activist, or maybe they will have a religious type of show. Some will have sports. And so, therefore, you have a certain industry, a certain field, if you will. And it's actually, if you know that field, or that's your career outside of being a talk show host, then it makes it quite easy in the sense that you already know what you're doing, and you have a specified area. It's kind of like, you can look at it as specialized medicine or being a specialist. Well, I chose probably one of the hardest things to ever do, which was to be an in general or generalized host. And that means I don't specialize in any one area. That does make it a lot harder, and kind of like a jack of all trades, a master of nothing. And in that respect, people could look at that as a negative. They can look at me as maybe not good at what I do, or anybody. But ironically, even though this is probably one of the toughest things to do, I became quite good at it. Now, what actually happened was I kind of self-taught myself and just decided that when I was on my show, I was going to make it very genuine. I was going to make it as if you and I are just at home, talking, or I'm at your work or your school. And so therefore I try to bring an atmosphere of comfortability. And I also like to touch on what is motivating this person and why is it important to them? Why are they passionate about it? But then also, how does it apply to helping people and humanity? And over the years, I became quite good at it. I could probably I know I can. I can interview you on any subject, and probably if I had an hour or less, no matter what the field is, I would sound as if I had been studying that subject for 100 years. And so in a sense, even though I could be called a jack of all trades, maybe in reality, I'm a little bit of a master of all, because whenever I'm interviewing you on whichever it is I'm interviewing you, whatever subject, or presenting you, the audience generally feels that I'm an expert, but also it relates to the audience. And that's another thing that you're going to need to do. You don't just need to know how to interview a person. I can interview you, and I can be like a human resources person, and I can interview you. But if I'm on TV doing that, it can become extremely boring. It can become extremely tedious, and people will turn the station. And with literally new devices like streaming devices and the internet, and of course YouTube and all these other elements, you're going to either have to entertain, or it's going to be like that. Gone. So how can you become good? Well, the first thing you want to do is decide something that I think that's very important. What is your mission? What is the reason you want to be a producer or a host? What is the objective? And by you doing this interview or this series, what is it that you hope to actually gain? Now, for me, what I hope to gain is I like to do a few things. One is I want to empower whomever I am interviewing, and I want them to be very appealing to the audience, because if the audience feels their passion and gets kind of gets into it, then whatever that person's doing, that person's going to inspire others to do the same thing, or even better. For example, I had Dr. Cyril Wecht on my show, on my series, 2 times physically, once on video and once on audio. This is the man, Dr. Cyril H. Wecht, that is he is one of the best forensic pathologists around the globe, and he's one of the best all time. So you have to be on your game and ask him things about forensic science. You might ask them, how do they determine what kind of poison killed a victim, if that's how they died, how many hours it might take. I mean, you can ask any of those things. What got you interested? Why did you decide to become a forensic pathologist? What are some of the shocking things that you found out in your life? What have you been able to solve? And Dr. Wecht himself has actually autopsied over 16,000 people. 16,000. I mean, there are stadiums or arenas that hold that amount of people. He probably has done more than 16,000 by now. And he's consulted on a whole lot more too. But you might ask him, how did he start out? What's his particular opinion of certain high profile and famous people's cases? He's worked on a lot of famous people. Or what if you have, a hockey player? Are you going to stay with the traditional every radio show and TV show ask, or are you going to come up with those questions and additional ones that maybe they haven't heard, for a while, or maybe never? Unfortunately, most of the time, it doesn't matter who. Hey, Michelle's in the house. How you doing, Michelle Johnson? That's the Mish. It really doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter if how do I put this? What I like to do is I don't like to ask traditional questions all the time. I'll get those out of the way. Those are what I call my lazy questions. Because if I'm, interviewing a Super Bowl champion, I mean, there's some questions that are obvious. How did it feel to win? What did you do to get there? How did you get your skills that got you on the team? I mean, those types of questions. But I like to take it a little bit further. And I always try to bring it back to humanity. Myself, I always bring in the human part of it. Because here's the thing. Everything that we do on earth, whichever the profession is, there is some way that we can apply that to helping our fellow human beings. And, I was able to actually interview this young lady in the past, who's Michelle Johnson, who is the Mish. And in her case, I asked her a variety of questions. Some were kind of way out of the ballpark, and I kind of shocked her. But of course, she did a great job. And now the obvious thing is she's a really great vocalist, a singer. So it would be natural, and I did get my questions about her singing. She's also a performance artist, slash actress, a performance artist, a musician, and an actress. So, and she's also hosts her own series. So I would say she's an artiste, and I'm a little bit about that myself. But you have your obvious questions, and then I believe you have to have off-the-wall questions. I hate to use it. Not off-the-wall. Let me correct myself. Something that not everybody's going to ask. And I do think there's something to be said for kind of surprising and almost shocking your guests. Well, you're welcome. You have a good night, Michelle. But you want to shock your guests in some respect. You don't want to embarrass them. Don't ever embarrass your guests. But you want to shock them because, see, they are more than even they realize. And I don't even think half my guests ever really realized how impressed I have been with them. Now, this young lady, I think she's one of the best local singers around, vocalists. I actually think she's one of the best vocalists around. And I would personally say she can give anybody a run for their money. I hate that silly term, but, and I expect her to one day get her break. We're talking about maybe appearing on Broadway or who knows where, Vegas, who knows? Because that's what she has the skills to do. Now, the other thing I like to do is I like to bring people on that traditionally have been looked at in a negative light. When I say that, people wonder sometimes, am I really exploiting them? And the answer is that's the opposite. You don't want to exploit people. You want to bring them up. I know there's that gotcha kind of programming, Jerry Springer, and people are making millions and billions of dollars. But I would like you, the future host of America and the globe, to start changing this globe in a better way and bringing the great aspects of it. I like to bring people up. And I also like to kind of put them on the spot, scare them even live sometimes. And yes, I have embarrassed people more than once. I didn't want to, but I put them on the spot for a reason. And the reason is I know they're 100% more than they could ever imagine. They're, just like Les Brown says, there's greatness in them. There's greatness in everybody. But so many of us don't know it. Don't use it. Like me personally, with regards to Michelle, whether she's still here or not, I heard her sing. And I think that she could do Broadway easily. She could do whatever she wanted. And she would be actually pretty spectacular at it. Now, I like to bring people up. I don't bring them down. Sometimes I do. I've been known to slap people upside the head legally, peacefully, and verbally. Believe that. I even had a show where, let's just say, I was almost like Jerry Springer. But there was a love, even though it didn't seem like it, there was a love reason. It was all about love, really. But at any rate, you want to bring your family and friends and guests up. Now, some of the people I've had on my show traditionally would have been used and exploited on the Jerry Springer type shows because I've had people that have been what society seems to still get away with abusing. People that have had psychological challenges, people that have had disabilities physically. I mean, people of different, nationalities, religions, sexual orientations, you name it. And if we look at mainstream television, a lot of it is exploitative. And I really stay away from that. As a matter of fact, after I essentially attacked my own not so-called, but I attacked my own loved one, Annette, on one particular episode. Didn't really attack her, but verbally I told the truth about some things. And people said, man, that was hard. But a lot of people want me to continue doing that kind of thing because it was successful. But I wouldn't do that. I would rather lose $1 billion than to do that, because I'm about bringing people up. That's what I want from you. But how do you do your show? First, you're going to need to believe in yourself. That's number one. Then what you want to do is pick an area, or you can be similar to me and have a little bit of everything. But I don't even know if you would call what I could call my style, except the family friend or the wild uncle. That's what you should be. You should be somebody that when the person's on your TV show, they almost forget. And a lot of times, actually, many of my guests literally forget that the actual camera is there. And that's because we're just having a conversation. It just happens to be that it's live. And it also just happens to be that other people are watching it. But if you can get your audience to come out of their, how do I put it? Their invisible walls that are blocking them in, and bring them in an area that maybe they didn't even realize they had an opinion on, or maybe they didn't think they had any skill set on. Bring them up. Always bring your audience up. I want you to edify them. And also make them feel so comfortable that they forget that they're even on television or radio. If you do that, you will be extraordinarily successful. Now, with regards to why you don't know me and I'm not a household name, there's a variety of reasons for that. But one of the main reasons for that is, up until this past year, I kept talking about I'm going to get there, but I didn't do anything. And then I will tell you this, and then the election of November happened. After that, I said all bets are off. You see, a lot of people don't know why I feel the way I do. A lot of people don't understand why I do go on my TV show, my podcast, and I seem to always pick on one political ideology. But in reality, it goes all the way back to what I'm telling you. We need to bring people up. We need to supply what people need. We need people to not get a handout, but to be able to mentally get a hand up and to believe in themselves. You know, if you empower people on your new show, if you actually empower somebody, let them feel that, maybe they're working a minimum wage job or even a summer job when the summer comes back. Don't let them feel like they're just a minimum wage worker. Let them realize they have the potential to be the chief executive officer of a multi-billion-dollar company. Because I'll let you in on a little secret. All of us do. And with regards to Michelle, let me say this. I don't think she's here anymore. I think she went to bed, and that's pretty cool. I appreciate her being here. But what I would like to say is, Michelle has everything to become one of the greatest vocalists we ever had. I don't know about her acting because I frankly never seen it. But I would put her up against any so-called reality show. I would put her in Carnegie Music Hall. I would put her in, arenas and stadiums. And I know she would be fantastic. But I think what happens is so many of us around this globe think that the illusions are the reality and the realities are the illusions. Now you might say, well, what do you mean? Well, I mean that there are so many roadblocks in life or perceptions. For example, Michelle could be right now headlining Vegas or New York City, Broadway, wherever she wants to be. But there is this perception that agents and corporations and even, theatrical companies and recording companies and record companies or whatever they call them these days have the power. But the reality is Michelle has the power. And even though we may not have the wherewithal to make the demo, we may not have the wherewithal to get a really great, shoot if we're doing a monologue. What we do have is determination. What we do have is our mind. And in reality, none of these companies, none of these agents, nobody would be in business without the public, without you out there. That means that Michelle can actually, in effect, demand her big break and get it. But mentally speaking, the majority of people on this planet don't realize that. So when you are a talk show host, one of the things I encourage you to also do is be a trendsetter, be a pioneer. I certainly am. I didn't necessarily set out to do it. It's just the way I think. And yeah, I think differently than a lot of other people. I mean, what I just said to you, that we actually control our destinies. Do you know how many people don't believe that? And I can tell you right now, there are going to be people that are going to hear this. They're going to say, if you controlled your destiny, why are you still in that room? Why are you still in that disorganized house? Why don't you have this? Why aren't you losing the weight you claimed you wanted to lose? There's a lot of billions of reasons that people will come at you. But the reality is, now that I've learned a lot of things, and the mindset's different, everything else is just a matter of time. It's a matter of time if God and the Lord thy God and Jesus Christ has me live long enough, you will actually watch me end up being in another house, getting better videos. Everything that the traditional famous person has, I will morph into. And you're probably thinking, well, that's great. But you see, here's the thing. I do need to do that. Now more than ever. But you need to understand something when you're going to be a host. Whatever you do, why you do it. Don't be the host that is a hypocrite. Don't say things like a famous talk show host once said. He was going after attacking drug addicts and people that were addicted. He was basically saying, put them all in prison, throw the key away. Yet we later find out he was addicted to drugs, painkillers. But instead of being sympathetic, he somehow thought that his addiction somehow was okay, and it wasn't the same thing. Don't be that person. So, getting back to, I said, I have to get my mansion. I have to, maybe not a mansion, but a nicer house. I have to get famous. I have to earn a lot of money. I have to lose this weight. And you're probably thinking, well, why would I say that? Well, this is the reason. As these things come into my life, are really not important to me. I mean, they're nice to have, don't get me wrong. But they're vitally important to you. Because when you see this manifestation that is coming, you will believe me. You will see the credibility. And as a result, you will take the actions that I recommend you take. You see, right now, when I talk of these magnificent accomplishments, like saying that Michelle can make herself famous, there is a lot of people around this globe, probably at least 5.5 billion people, maybe even 7 billion, that either wouldn't believe it or wouldn't think they could achieve it. But when I actually go out there and do it, then they will believe it. Because then they'll say, well, wait a minute. He literally said he was going to get famous and make himself famous, and he went out and he had done it. See, then everything changes. Then you might say to yourself, well, how is it you can demand and become famous? In all honesty, it's existential, it's psychological, it's metaphysical, and yes, it is most definitely spiritual. I will make a bold prediction here, a very bold one. If I get the chance to personally speak to Michelle, I predict that 2017 and 2018 and every year after will be her most profitable, successful, fulfilling in every aspect of her life. And every year after, everything she ever wanted and more is going to happen. Because I will tell you this. I listened to her when she was on my show, my episode of Humanity Matters Live. And there's almost no words. You know, I don't want to compare her to anybody. But I'll say this. She can belt out the tunes. And I don't see why she's not globally famous already. She should be. And she will be. Absolutely, she's going to be. But I know she's still not here. And man, I sure wish she was. Woman, I sure wish she was. because she will be famous. Now, as for you, I want you to be a new breed of host. Doesn't matter if you do it on live television, taped, you do it exclusively on the internet, and you make $1 billion, or you become the mainstream talk show host like Steve Harvey or somebody else. Do it with integrity. Do it with high standards. Learn about lighting. Learn about the aesthetics of everything. Learn about doing segments. I need to work on that even to this day. But most of all, I would like you to do your series in my style. What is my style? My style, I have multiple kinds. But I would call it, as I said earlier, the family member and the friend. And once you do that, your guests are going to be so comfortable with you, they will literally forget there's a camera on them. But guess what? I'm going to prove it to you. I have an episode right here on Facebook. And if you look hard enough, you'll find the links. And it is actually, there's one called Introducing Jonathan Breda. And we just shot that earlier in February 2017. Jonathan was scared to death. He's a magician, an up-and-coming magician, and he's extremely good. And his father was on there. And both of them were incredibly nervous. By the end of that episode, as usual, neither one of them were nervous, really. And the father, at times, he literally forgot he was on TV. And you might think, well, how can you do that? Trust me. A good host will get you so comfortable, there are times you will forget you have an audience. And that is my greatest satisfaction. And that will be yours. The money will be nice. The time freedom that you will achieve will be magnificent. But making your guests feel like they're the most important person on earth, because guess what? They are. Secret is we're all the most important. I know it doesn't make sense, but we are. God, or the higher creator, or whatever you want to call it, him or her or the universe, doesn't play favorites. And that's one reason why I don't like reality TV. Because it takes away the humanity in us. You look at a show like Survivor. They lie. They cheat. They steal. They blackmail and they betray their own so-called team, so-called allies, and sometimes even friends. Sometimes even romantic friends. All to win. And we've been born like that. They say that's human nature. They say that it has to be that way. Because look at nature. The strongest survive. Yes, that's true in nature. But sometimes the weakest also survive. But let me ask you a question. Would you rather survive with no soul, no humanity, and no compassion? Or would you rather keep your soul and your compassion? Because let me tell you, one day we're all going to be gone. And we're going to face the music Atheists, I have a bad thing to tell you. Scientists, atheists, everybody that says that this religious thing is a joke and that God's a joke, there's a good reason why there's so many atheists, and I get it. And religion's the reason. A lot of it. And of course, scientists can't find conclusive proof, and then, let's be honest, we look at this world and the killings and everything else. I get it. But I also want you to know, I can assure you, there is a higher power. That's another thing you need as a host. An absolute certainty and conviction in what you know to be true, what you know to be a fact, what you believe to be a fact. You have to have integrity 24/7. You know, I come on here not shaven, which I should be, the bad teeth and everything else, and it doesn't bother me because I love you. That's why I did this. I don't have this need to be heard. I do have a need to see you thrive. So join me and become a new talk show host. I want you to have integrity. I want you to make your guests forget they're on television or radio, wherever they are. Build them up. Put people on that normally would be exploited. Tell their stories. Bring somebody on with severe mental illness, morbidly obese. Tell their stories. But in so doing, also bring them on as a special guest or a guest host so that they can just be whatever their name is. You know, Lucinda, Shaniqua, Ariana, John, whatever their name may be. Just bring them on. And when you do that, what's going to happen is this. Their illness, their disease, their pigmentation, their whatever it is, weight, whatever it is, that will become invisible. And they'll just be Jack. They'll just be Mike. They'll just be Alexander, Iman, Jose. You do that, and you will become one of the most successful hosts around. As for me, yeah, I'm getting my break if I live long enough. But in 2017, by the end of this year, I expect to be on the local mainstream or the national circuit. And I'll share something with you that I wasn't going to. I decided to call up the networks. Yeah, the actual networks. And I received a call back. That's one thing I want to say. This is for my PCTV, other producers. I've been told my show's not quite good enough. It's not tight. It's not concise. It's just not, I'm just not there yet. Many people told me that. You know what? PCTV isn't going to be my home much longer. For everything, that is. Although I will have a presence, even when I'm in my big time, if I can. I mean, my mainstream multi-national, multi-million-dollar series. I'm probably going to still have the public access show or produce it. But I've had producers say I can't do it for a billion reasons. It's not good enough. It's not tight enough. I go too far there, all that. Well, let me tell you something. To those producers, to anybody, you're wrong. You're wrong because the only one that decides what I am is me. God and me. The only one that decides what you are is God and you. So it doesn't matter if a staff member believes my show's good enough. It doesn't matter if ABC believes my show's good enough. It doesn't matter if 7 billion people believe my show's good enough. Because if I believe it, somebody out there on earth is going to hire me. Give me that shot. Make me a star. And if you hear nothing that works with you, if you didn't get anything out of this up until now, get this. You are the only one that can make you famous. You're the one that's going to have to take the physical suffering, the learning what you don't know, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the being up at 5 a.m. if necessary, maybe even 1 a.m. You're going to have to fly around the globe if they want you to. You are the only one that truly can make you get famous. You are the only one that can make you be that doctor. It's not the training. It's you. It's God and you. Atheist, you don't have to believe in God. So we'll call it the universe, just not to offend you. But frankly, you're wrong on this, and so are the scientists. But make no mistake, the only one that keeps you from succeeding in what anything you want to do, it's you. It's you. So when I say I will be famous, I will be on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, whatever it is. If I had that person, the CEO or the talent scout in front of me, sure, they might try to tear me down. But once you know the inner truth and the reality, all these illusions cannot stop you. And I'm going to say something, I don't know if Michelle's going to ever see this. But I'll tell you something about Michelle Miss Johnson. I consider her as good a singer as any other female vocalist, or for that matter, vocalist that's been around. I can see her winning a Grammy Award. Yes, she's as good as Dionne Warwick. She's as good as Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Selena. She's as good as Ariana Grande. She's as good as Lady Gaga, Aretha Franklin, the late Whitney Houston, Jennifer Holliday, Celine Dion. Anyone. She is that good. And you know what? I'm going to get my big break. Because I'm not going to ask for it. I'm going to take it. But in so doing, people like Michelle, I'm going to get real tough on Michelle Johnson. Because I'll tell you why. She is too good to not be an international superstar. She is that good, America, and people around the globe. And when I get my big break, you better believe I'm bringing her on my national series. And I don't know if Michelle will ever see this, but yeah, she is that good. And I'll be honest with you. She's been discriminated against, just as I have. But now that I know the illusions are people control us, now that you know, you need to change your mindset and make it happen. I believe in you. I know you can do it. I absolutely, with every breath that I breathe, know that you can do this. There's no reason why you can't be the person you want to be. You're just afraid. Nobody can hold you down except the person looking in the mirror. So I kind of hope you still doubt what I say. Actually, I do. I do. I hope you think that I can never make it in the big, big time. Because let me tell you something. The more you believe that, the more astounded you're going to be when I do make it. And at that point, if this hasn't gotten you to make the move to change your life, you know what will? When you see me there, you will jump like that and you will never stop. So I'm telling you right now, as God is my witness, if God blesses me to live long enough, and I'm talking about by the end of this year, you will see me in a positive way on the national airwaves. You will either see Humanity Matters Live, a show of another name, a series of another name, the Albert Torcaso series, whatever it has to be. And you will always remain the mission, the purpose. Because you, like Les Brown says, you have greatness in you. And those of you who've been discriminated against because of stupid reasons, let's go down the line for a minute before I leave here. Maybe you're heavy, obese, considered the F word, F-A-T. Maybe you're without teeth like me or balding. Maybe you're Jewish. Maybe you're Middle Eastern. Maybe you're Italian. Maybe you're Christian. Maybe you're too skinny, too fat, too old, too young, too white, too black, too Japanese, too Native American. Well, let me tell all of you something. To me, you're a human being. So you want to say I'm not the greatest talk show host, producer, whatever on earth? Go ahead. But that's where you're dead wrong. I'd put what I do and how I do it up against any other TV series in the history of television series. And I know I can compete with them. And I'll tell you why. I have something that very few of these shows have. Grit, compassion, humanity, genuineness. So don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell you what you can't do. Because together, you and I are going to climb that metaphorical mountain. We're going to climb that mountain. We're going to conquer that mountain. And we're going to conquer every other mountain that ever comes in our way. And when people reject us, it's going to hurt. We're going to cry. We're going to give up for a day or a month or 6 months. And then we're going to remember. That's the illusion. That people can do that to us. That's the illusion. Because the truth is, the only one that can stop us is the Lord thy God. And the only person living on earth that can stop us is the person looking in the mirror. It's you. To be more specific, it's not your physical body that can stop you. It's only your mind and your mindset. And nothing on earth can stop you when you know the truth. I'm here to tell you that all of you, if you listen to what I've said, will become excellent human beings. Excellent aspects and integrity and standards of a human being, of a person with dignity. And in so doing, you will also become expert talk show hosts. No, I'm not famous on February the 17th, 2017. But as God is my witness, I will be. I will become that super rich man. I will become that super famous man. And yes, I will love having that money. And yes, I'll waste a little bit. But 90% of it will go to helping other people and bringing them along. And the main reason why I will get famous is because when I do, you will give me the respect. You will give me the absolute attention. And call me an expert, call me a genius, call me whatever you will. But most importantly, you will listen to me. Whether I'm on for 1 minute or 100 hours. And when you listen to me, you are going to be getting edified. You're going to be brought up. Because guess what? You matter. I know that Father God and the Lord thy God and Jesus Christ, or Jesus the Christ, is a quadrillion % real. But I also love everybody from every other religion. I also love atheists and agnostics and people who don't believe that God could even be real. I love them. And I love you. I know how important it is for you to believe. Because for many years I didn't believe. But let me ask you a question. Do you think it was easy for me to call that network? Now the truth is, they called me back, but I haven't heard from them. I let it go for about a week and a half. But I won't. And if the networks won't hire me, they'll be sorry. Because I'll find my own way to get my own self famous. Literally. And why? Because of you. You are the most important reason I need to get famous. I can't have you looking at this filthy house and all that. I can't have you thinking that it will never happen. If you're wondering why my house is as filthy as it is, I'll tell you why. And I'm not embarrassed anymore. Our house, when we first moved here, we had to put 3 households into one. The reason why everything's all over the place is we just literally don't have the space. Now, there's a secondary reason, a very honest one. I personally have a heart ailment. I just told the networks they're not going to hire me because I can't get health care and health insurance and life insurance. Oh no, they can't hire me now. Let me say this to ABC and every network out there, and NBC and CBS, Fox. I am not the man to try to discriminate against. And there is something called the American Disabilities Act. You will hire me. As far as life insurance and all that, I don't know what it will cost or if I can get it. But I know you're going to hire me. Yes, I'm arrogant right now. In your face. Oh, you better believe it. Do you want to know why I'm in your face? Because you put on programming it's really deplorable. Put something good on. Bring people up. And I don't think that Jerry Springer personally is a bad guy. Or Maury Povich. Or any of these shows that are exploitative. And I know that there are millions or even billions of people out there that somehow like to watch other people suffer because their lives are so hard. But come on, my fellow human beings, all 7 billion plus. Let's not watch somebody else suffer. Let's not make fun of the mentally ill. Let's not make fun of the people that are so confused they sleep with their own sisters and brothers. It's disgusting. But let's not destroy them either. Let's get them the help they need and empower people. I mean, come on. Since 2004, haven't you heard that you and humanity really does matter? This is not a tagline. Before I go, I would be remiss to not kind of chastise one of my fellow producers for not believing in himself enough to do what he thinks is impossible. I don't think it's impossible at all. As a matter of fact, I know it is possible. Luther D., you have one of the best sports series shows on the face of this earth. If I could call the networks and get a call, yes, you can. And for the record, my fellow Americans, in 2006, I actually did an episode titled, Yes, We Can. I wasn't on YouTube yet. So unfortunately, that's lost to the ages. But it was on PCTV21.org. Unfortunately, it's gone. But I came up with that term, yes, we can. And then about a year and a half later, former President and former Senator Barack Hussein Obama came up with one of the most powerful and profound campaigns in the history of all politicians and politics. About a year and a half after I did my show, Yes We Can, President Obama made it his slogan. And I can't even tell you how amazed I was and how gratifying it was. But to Luther D, yeah, you know you, and you know me. That sports show that you've been doing now for about, 20 years, 15 years, 17, 18, whatever it is. It's time it goes off PCTV. And it goes to ESPN or Fox or wherever. You have brought up so many youth of every pigmentation, so many youth of every denomination, and made them feel like millionaires and superstars. And many of them have done very well in college and even in the National Football League or whatever sport. It's time, Luther D, that this type of programming goes nation and global, nationwide, on an actual TV station, a specialized web page or whatever. You need to earn an income so that this can be one of your main careers. And there's no doubt you have a very good team. You have a great team. Smoking Jay, even Mike M, even though he gets on my last nerve, and some of your other colleagues from the past. And of course, Claudio R. You need to go national. And guess what, my fellow public access Pittsburgh cable television producers, old and new? Get ready, because Albert's going national, baby. Now, if any of you have doubt in me or in yourself, it's time you wake up. And I don't mean out of bed, I mean mentally. Now, I'll tell you right now, there's some really good shows on PCTV. Now, I'll tell you some of the best. Miss Show, Luther D's, Paul E, mine, and a few others like Nora's and others. And I would take our content. I would take our content and what we do and how we do it, and I would put it on any network on the planet. So guess what, PCTV producers? We have ourselves a network and producers meeting on March the 8th at 6 p.m. at 1300 Western Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15233. And I'm going to see some of you there. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's time we step up our game. I don't care about the aesthetics. I don't care about the things we need to so-called learn. I made the calls to the networks and I got answers. Do it. Can we be national? Can we be on the mainstream? In the words of what I said in 2006 and what the former president of the United States, who was a great president, in the words of both of us, Albert J. Torcaso and Barack H. Obama, we know. Can we be on national and international and save lives and improve lives? Can we do it? Yes, we can. 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 Can Luther make it? Yes, he can. Can Miss do it? Yes, she can. So can we do it? Can you out there that's going to become a brand new talk show host, wherever you may be, can you do it? Yes, you can. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And like the president finally said, yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I'm Albert, soon to be famous, and soon to help a whole lot of people throughout the globe and saving lives of humans and animals. I am Albert, the long-winded, loud-mouthed Torcaso, and I will be famous. Can I do it? Yes, I will.